Yeah, I know this is weird, but okay. We're going to talk about batteries. Yeah, batteries, things you put in your flashlight, things you used to put in your Game Boy, you know what I'm talking about? Chunk those D's in big old boombox. Batteries are fascinating to me. In fact, I think one of the most interesting thing about batteries, as it were, is that they existed in BC times. I think that's one of the craziest damn things. We have found in like Babylonian ruins and places like that freaking batteries. Like I'm sitting in a freaking lawn chair out here, right? Imagine a big earthenware vase. Yeah, I said vase. I've seen the original Disney Hercules. I remember that song. And in these big old vases, you got this pillar that goes down in the middle of it. There's like a plug thing they put in the middle of it, right? And this pillar made of wood has a bunch of copper coils twisted and wrapped around it. And they have a plus and a minus as a place to like put leads into. It's a battery. It's a battery made out of clay. And inside, they found traces of various acids. So literally, these things were batteries. They're full of acid, copper cables wrapped around them. Got some like graphite tubing in there type of deal. They had batteries in the BC times. Now, I don't know if they had any like machines to plug them into. I'm not necessarily saying that. Odds are that these prehistoric batteries were actually used as like a tens unit. I don't know if any of y'all are old enough to have to mess with those, but I'm 40. A tens unit is basically like you put a positive and a negative charge. Like say you have like rheumatoid arthritis or something, you would put one on the back of your palm here, and you put the other one on the inside of your forearm here, and that's going to send an electrical pulse between those two areas. And it's a really good form of muscle and nerve therapy. And I think it was just used medicinally for something like that. That's what makes the most sense. But yeah, batteries has been a thing that mankind has been using for literally thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They're not a new thing. The way we use them is certainly new. And I've always been fascinated with battery technology, I think it was a couple of years ago now. I believe it was Cambridge University. They actually proved by creating one that worked a functional battery that I think was 13 atoms in size. That's pretty small. And when you can connect a bunch of those batteries to an array and you have them charged through kinesthetic energy or kinetic energy, whatever, kinesthetic is a form of learning. Kinetic is a form of energy generated by physical motion. Like you pedal a bicycle and the light bulb comes on. So just imagine these tiny little batteries and just basic tiny little movements are able to continuously recharge them. And they're these microscopic tiny little things. There's all kinds of ways that you can use that. And then, we have the new electric motor vehicle batteries that Suzuki is really, really into. I mean, we're talking like, what is it? Like your current electric car, let's say if you bought it in like 2020, something like that. You probably are getting to the end of your battery's lifespan because they can only be recharged like 8,000 times before they're done ski, right? And, the time it takes to charge all that. You remember how long it took to charge our smartphones back in like, let me think, maybe like 2016, 2017? It took some time, but then there was this sudden jump where it's like, yo, we got this quick charging now, right? My phone charges to full in like 90 minutes, which is crazy. I remember when that took like 5 hours. But like these new electric vehicle batteries, these things can be recharged like 50,000 times, and they're able to charge from 20% to 80% in like 2 hours. Incredibly rapid, high speed charging, can be recharged more times than normal. And it's because of a new way that the energy is both stored and pulled out of the battery system itself. Is that it does, like in traditional batteries that we have now, it just tries to fuel everything up all at once. And from internal thermal heat expansion, that's what can cause your battery to, get a little bigger, get a little smaller, get a little bigger, get a little smaller. I have a battery for a heated vest that was recharged way too many times, and eventually the battery housing and plastic casing expanded and cracked open because the actual battery part itself on the inside has expanded so much that the casing can't hold it anymore. But these new batteries, they cycle the locations that get charged at a time so that it doesn't undergo any thermal expansion, and it increases the longevity of the battery's lifespan, like more than 20-fold, basically. It's ridiculous. So we have all these new types of batteries, and those are cool. But the newest one that was just proven recently that this can work, and not only can it work, it's feasible to produce and manufacture given the current landscape of the scientific world. This new type of battery uses carbon-16, which South Korea, about 5 months ago, they actually proved that they can manufacture diamonds in a lab environment. So that new process of fabricating diamonds, that can now be used with this new process that they've discovered that uses, of all things, nuclear waste as the interior energy generator, and keeping it locked inside of a carbon-16 battery housing, shell, and casing. These things are perfectly safe. Also, it's made of diamond. Do you know how hard it's going to be to crack one of those things open? It's not a safety concern. It's really not. So basically, we're talking about all this nuclear waste that has so little value that, our governments pay other companies to hide it in landfills so that no one knows where it is. Suddenly, all that nuclear waste that we've been disposing because is literally so worthless that we have to pay other people to dispose of it for us, to hide it for us. Excuse me. But friggin', now we're learning that nuclear waste can be used as a battery source. And putting it inside of the diamond casing is now feasible. We can accomplish that. So I think we're going to be entering an interesting new economy at this point. Because, let's see. How many other third world countries have we been disposing of our nuclear waste in? A lot. Guess what? All those dudes that have all that nuclear waste buried in their lands, they can dig that up and start making money. It's like back in the 1920s, 1930s America. Lobster used to be like 1 to 2 cents per tail because it was a trash food that no one wanted to eat. Now it's, like $90 for a freaking giant old lobster tail. Of all things, nuclear waste is poised to become one of the most desired, most expensive per barrel materials in the world. Nuclear waste. That's crazy. We're about to see some big changes in the world, I think, in a lot of different ways. One of them is going to be a pretty extreme redistribution of wealth, because we have been dumping all this nuclear waste in a bunch of third world countries for a long time. Well, guess what? That's the new crude oil, and we've been giving it to them for like the last 50 frickin' years. They're going to be making bank when they learn how to harvest, store, and carry that around, get it in some trade routes. That's going to be huge, man. That's going to be a big effing deal. That's going to shake up a lot of economies around the world. I don't think people realize how big this really is. But, I think it'll be a while before it reaches a consumer grade level. It's going to be a while until you can go buy some Diamond AA's that are going to that's like, these things got a 100-year warranty. They're going to last forever. But no, we are actually reaching that critical technology threshold that Buzz Lightyear mentioned in Toy Story. We are so close. We are on the precipice right now in terms of scientific battery technology advancement, where we are not going to be reliant on fossil fuels. We're about to discover crystallic fusion. It's literally happening right now, and I don't know why no one else is as excited about this as I am. This is massive, dude. Anyway, yeah. Batteries. I talk about the most random effing crap on this channel sometimes. But hey, you gotta talk about what you're exuberant about, You gotta talk about what you're excited about, what you're enthusiastic about. And yeah, I'm enthusiastic about batteries, old televisions, wristwatches, those are the types of things I'm really into. I love those types of things. But yeah, batteries. Thanks for listening. Appreciate y'all's time. God bless. I'm out.